Welcome to the Dingiston for a brand new video where we are covering Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. It's back to kill us all, or something like that, right? Well, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Dingiston.
All right, we're back for another comic review. This week covering Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, which is a sequel to Creature from the Black Lagoon, in case you couldn't tell. One of the Universal Monsters comics, which it's an Image, right? It's an Image.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, published by Image, which I got the nice hardcover right here. I got to meet the artist a couple months ago. See the autograph right there. Matthew Roberts, where he did a good job on this story. I did like the art with this. But anyway, what I was talking about with this is it's a part of the Universal Monsters. When would it have been? 2-3 years ago when the Dracula miniseries came out, which was the first of these Universal Monsters lines. I did a issue 1 review of that, which was really good, and that was written by James Tinian, which I highly recommend that. And I know they've done several others, like there's a Frankenstein one that's come out, there's a Mummy one that is, I think, just came out as well. And then there's obviously this one. I don't remember if there's any others, but Image has been doing these Universal Monsters, and I really enjoyed Dracula, and so wanting to see more of it. Yeah, we got Creature from the Black Lagoon, which in preparation for this, even though you certainly didn't need to, I did watch the original movie before checking this out, since this is a sequel to that. And yeah, it's set years. Do you remember the year that the original movie's set?
Oh, no, I don't. That's a good question.
Because I don't know if they stated the year at the beginning of the story or not. I don't remember them, but the story is set in the 80s, which is obviously a bit after the original movie, especially considering since it came out in the 50s. So at least 30 years after the original movie is when the story is set.
Yeah.
Before we do get into reviewing this story, though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we're doing here. Always a fun time doing these comic reviews. And if there's anything you'll want to see, let us know. Especially if you're a Universal Monsters fan and you want to see more of that.
1954.
Okay, so the year it came out. Okay.
Yeah.
That works. I was thinking that's what it might be, but I wasn't sure. So, yeah. So this story is interesting because it has 2 writers, Dan Waters and Ram V. A lot of names I see are in a lot of places. Artist Matthew Roberts, and then coloring Dave Stewart did the first 2 chapters. Then Trish Mulvihill, I may have butchered that, did the chapters 3 and 4. It was a 4-issue miniseries, just like Dracula, short and sweet. It was a pretty quick read. But yeah, before we delve into the specifics of the story, what did you think about it?
It was pretty good. I was kind of surprised with the route they took with it, with a kind of like a sequel later on, and it's interesting that the creature isn't the center point of the story.
Yeah, I could see
it's a big part of the story, but it's not the center point. The center point revolves around the female character and who she's after, really. And but it is kind of cool that they treated the creature of the Black Lagoon almost kind of like a Amazon jungle protector. Yeah, it was an interesting take on it. The artwork was pretty good through the whole thing. There's some really decent shots that they did. And if you watch the original one, there's some great cinematography in the original one.
Yes.
So the artists definitely should have flexed their muscles a bit with this one, trying to pay homage to that. And they did in a couple of the double page spreads along those lines, you know. But yeah, it was a decent comic book. Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, it was one that story decisions. I don't know. Some of it kind of threw me off. I don't think it was a bad story, but I kind of just felt like it was fine.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. But it was interesting because it's important worth noting that this kind of takes the Halloween 2018 route where it disregards all the other sequels and goes its own way.
Yeah, because there was 2 other films, and
Yes.
the third of that trilogy, the creature actually dies. So this is kind of like a direct sequel from the first movie, if you will.
Yes, and then also set so many years after it as well.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, Halloween 2018, but it's Creature from the Black Lagoon edition, which I don't mind that. I think you can tell some good stories with telling that way. And yeah, this one was interesting. So as you get into it, we see, as you're talking about, like there is this focus point on this female character. I don't remember her name, but she's like this reporter trying to track down this particular story about some sort of big serial killer.
Yeah.
And so, and we do, this is cool too. Seeing, the sort of place that they're, I don't remember the town's name here or village name here, but saying all that and saying that, like, natives know who this creature is, and as you were talking
making
about
souvenirs about him and with him and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'd buy one.
Oh hell yeah!
Just hope they never run into it, right? But yeah, seeing that there's these killings happening, she believes that it's from some sort of serial killer that she's tracking down, and the first issue was just a bunch of this setup of getting to, knowing who this character is and establishing the setting and these other key characters with it, such as we do get somebody here who encountered him before. I think it's that character right there. And he was talking about, like, years ago he was on a expedition and encountered the creature. I don't remember exactly which character he was from the original, but it was somebody that came back. So they do have that tie to it, at least.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Because I got the cast pulled up here, because I was wondering that myself. Was like, is he from the original movie?
That's what it seemed like, because he referenced that he was part of a science expedition in the area. And then they just kind of wants revenge on the creature.
Yeah, if they say his name later on, I'll cross-reference and see if it is there, because that'd be kind of interesting that if he was one of those characters. He might have been. Yeah, we'll see here.
Yeah, we'll see. So, but yeah, so I did like this shot here with seeing the wildlife there.
Yeah,
I thought it looked pretty good. But yeah, so she's going down and trying to figure out exactly. There, she actually has a brief encounter with it near the end of the first issue there, and then she ends up drowning, and we see it, and ends up rescuing her as we. That tracks with what happens in the original movie. Seeing how the creature acts towards the ladies.
Yeah, there's that whole Beauty and the Beast kind of King Kong kind of thing, and I know is it Guillermo del Toro? He wanted to
Oh
do
yes.
a Creature of the Black Lagoon movie, but he could never get the rights for it. So he ended up doing The Shape of Water, I believe it was called,
Yeah.
which essentially is the Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. And it had the same thing, kind of like in a love affair between the creature and this woman and a
Yeah.
woman character. So
Yeah, I had that movie in mind when watching the Creature from the Black Lagoon and not realizing that like he wanted to do one. And so with you saying that, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, he wanted to do one bad, and I don't understand when Guillermo del Toro wants to do something, you let him do it. I don't understand what Hollywood's thinking when it's like, no, we don't want this amazing creative director to do a monster film, which he specializes on. But yeah, that was kind of what he took his Black Lagoon script and essentially changed some names around and rewrote it for it to become Shape of Water.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing a remake because I was just thinking, have we ever gotten a straight up remake of that story?
I don't think we have. There was the three original, and I don't know. The three original came out like a year from each other, so it was like bam, 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 and I don't know if there was a plan for one because there was that time period that they wanted to do a shared universe with that Tom Cruise Mummy movie,
God.
and they had like Johnny Depp doing the Invisible Man, and they had a couple other people lined up. And I don't know if this creature was in that lineup yet, but they were planning to do all the Universal monsters, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't attempted again because it is a shared universe. It's horror monsters, nostalgia, and if you get the right director teams behind it, you can really make some cool films. You know.
Yeah, I just looked it up. There is a news back that states almost 2 years ago, August of 2024, that James Wan was working on one or is working
nice.
on one.
Okay.
But I know he's also one of those people that has his name attached to a lot of
damn near everything.
Oh, here we go. There's an update that happened last month from him, apparently. Let me see what this says, if anything, because it's from one of those kind of clickbaity sites. So let's see if this actually says anything. Okay, but it is a quote from him, so it says, he just says, I mean, the Creature from the Black Lagoon is not easy. The Creature from the Black Lagoon is not an easy one. It takes a lot to get it right. So it sounds like he's just still taking his time to make sure it's a faithful adaptation. That's what it seems like. You just want to say, I want to be as good because the creature is long overdue for a massive revival and having him an excellent remake that honors the legacy is good. Oh wait, no, that's just somebody else saying that. Yeah, okay. So yeah, he's just taking his time to get it right. It seems like.
Well, that's good. I mean, it is a potentially a good high selling property that could launch a universe. So if they get it right, then we could be seeing a lot of stuff. Like I really am surprised we haven't seen more of these Universal monsters redone. You know, in modern day movies, I would prefer like a 1950s setting in all of them. Like you don't have to bring it to modern day. I think that would be cooler, but I don't. You know, that Hollywood never calls me, so I don't know.
Yeah, right. Everybody, I don't call anybody. You know,
I know they never asked me. I'm always like, guys, I got the suggestions, or they never call me.
Yeah, I could see it working better as a period piece, but I'm not opposed to them trying to modernize it as long as it works.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. How do you do something that's only been done once and hasn't been touched since the 50s, really?
yeah. And it was, how do you do it unique and how do you do it that honors the old one?
Yeah.
With the film that really, if you look at the plot line wise, was pretty basic. You know, a pretty basic monster flick. It just had gorgeous cinematography and it was kind of different because they were doing stuff that was really hard to do at that time period also, like you mentioned earlier. you're underwater in the 1950s
Yeah.
filming movies and stuff. That's not easy to do. Nowadays, it's all just done with CG and closed sets and stuff along those lines. So
Yeah, it's true. We've seen some good underwater flicks, so that it's possible.
yeah, it
We'll
is
see what
possible.
happens. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah. Oh, here we get a anyway, back to the story. I had some thoughts about certain things that I'm going to leave as far as remakes and where it could go and stuff, but we'll leave it to what this comic does, because this comic does tell a story that maybe, um, could be adapted to on screen someday. Because it definitely does try to make the story its own and not just like, oh, it's the same story again, but later,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And so we'll talk about what works and doesn't work, because I think there is some interesting ideas with it. And so, but you got to get that build up to what happens, saying like, oh, here's the autopsy, and this is how the guy died, and you see very obvious claw marks there, showing that, oh, maybe a creature killed that guy, and saying like, oh, it comes from this place with the black sand, so where's that? I really like this shot, in between shot right here. It felt very Indiana Jones-esque to me, of like, oh yeah, traveling across over, I was imagining a line being drawn on that map over to wherever they were going.
Dun, dun,
I did.
dun, dun,
Exactly.
dun.
But yeah, I like that shot in particular there. And so these characters are all working together, and see that the person, the serial killer that she's hunting, is right there, and yeah, quite interesting. As they delve into a little bit of like her, because she was needing to get drugs earlier, and they delve into like hear that like she's they said what it is. I don't remember what it is.
It's like brain injury induced something. It mentions it, I think, on the next page. Some kind of like, yeah, there it is. It's
anoxic brain
anoxic
damage.
Brain damage, yeah.
Confusion and hallucination are common side effects, so are tremors and vomiting. And this is interesting too, because it does add a potential layer to the story of maybe certain things aren't real and stuff, because of having your main character that hallucinates.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe the story could have delved into that a little more. I don't know. But yes, we do see that as that's an important part of the story, and she's getting rescued as well. The creature attacks the criminals here. I was trying to think of what they're called here.
The narcos.
The narcos. There we go. That's a cool shot right there. I thought that was cool. That was a really action bit right there. But yeah, so they get away, and then they see you see one of them dead here, and being like, well, wasn't me, huh? So that was funny. Get this bit of the creature stalking the main character there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting, and we get these moments with her and the creature nearly together there. So there's a cool shot right there.
Yeah, which is kind of a call back to the original film,
right?
Also, too,
for sure. Listen, the creature just wants some love,
Yeah,
and so
wants some booty.
Exactly.
He just wants to plant his eggs into her chest cavity.
So anyway, she confronts him. She's like, all right, your traps are lousy, but she knows of being like, the creature wants me, so how about we work together to get what we want from this creature, use it as bait, right? And so they obviously know it's all based in the Black Lagoon and blah blah blah. And then we also get this shot too of this person, the serial killer, in the cave there. So interesting developments as it goes. And so they're all prepping there and doing everything. Um, and yeah, it's like I said, it takes its time setting up certain things. Um, as we going through all of it, but it leads to this big conflict there between the sort of the three protagonist sort of figures and the gang there, or the serial killer specifically there. And she's literally like, the bastard's here. And so, but anyway, yeah, things happen. She gets in the water and he gets carried away. Well, she thinks she sees the well, no, she does, and then she gets grabbed from below. That's it. So she gets grabbed, and then she gets grabbed from the serial killer. And look at him there. He has he's like confused with the he's mutated his body there to become the new creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay, this part I was like, okay, how the hell did this happen? It doesn't make any sense. And I was like, is he a scientist? Did he that looks like crocodile parts maybe? And yeah, when it got to this part, I was just like, okay, what the hell is going on here?
Well, it's interesting. It's because it's like, here, I'm going to go back because there's this moment where he's like, it insinuates that because he didn't kind of have much setup with this. And there's one part where I was like, there could have been setup with it. And it was this part right here where he's like, well, it couldn't have been me. But there he is wearing like normal ass gloves.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't. Is that a suit that he just put on? Like, is that just stuff that he's like kind of stuck to himself?
Like, how can he have like normal gloves on and hide that thing though?
Yeah.
Because he makes a point here. It's like, that's an extra long finger right there with a claw. No normal glove fits that. So I don't know. But he's just like, yeah, I'm no longer human. And, all it took was a knife and a needle. Okay.
Yeah, so he must have cut up, like, fish and crocodiles and created and sewed that onto himself. That must be, like, they don't really get into it well enough where I'm just like, and me, my mind instantly started racing to, like, sci-fi shit. Like what is he being experimented on? Did he get bit by the creature? Now he's like Black Lagoon man. Like what's going on here?
Well, see, this is the thing of I think the story had any interesting idea that this story had. I felt like it just wasn't delved into enough, and this was one of those. Because the story, because other than this, the story is just a revenge story. And I don't feel like the main revenge story. And like I said, this is like I just think the story's fine because at the end of the day, it's a revenge story that doesn't feel that special or great compared to other revenge stories that we have. It doesn't do anything that like really stand out to me.
Yeah, and it doesn't, like, you get the opening scene where she's being choked in the water, and it's obviously this guy's here. We find out it's the serial killer. She got away, and she's been hunting him ever since.
Yeah. And
then this guy kind of implicitly, like, he's in there training narcos in order to, give him something to do, and he gets to kill people. And then after seeing one dude die, he decided to start sewing crocodile parts on himself. There's not much explanation for anything. Like you said, they don't really dive into it. It's an interesting story, especially with the serial killer, the reporter, and then they just so happen to be at the Black Lagoon where this creature is. But at the same time, though, it's kind of like, well, you don't dive into any of it enough.
No.
To really make an impact.
One of the most interesting parts I found from one of the most interesting things about the original movie and why I think it stood out to me was the idea of like it's this creature that never evolved, and because originally they find a fossil of the creature. It's not just a monster movie where it goes around and killing everybody. The movie has other layers to that, and I thought that I found the idea of like it being a creature from the past and maybe something along those lines of it being something more than it just being a modern day creature, you know.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
interesting. And so, like, you know, I think there could have been a route with this story where it's like this happens from he's like motivated something there with this sort of creature's lore or something, you know,
yeah,
or you know, there could have been some depth there with why this happens, with how taking the lore from the original movie. Because that's something else. Like, I mean, the movie definitely touched on it, but it would have been cool to have gotten a little more details, you know, as far as that goes, than it just turning into a monster movie, you know.
yeah.
And
Because you
so,
could have easily done it. She's a reporter who's looking into the accounts of this monster that happens to be in the Amazon, and they think it's
mhm.
killing people. Like they introduce a side plot, and she's not even there for the creature. She doesn't really give a shit about the creature. She's after
Yeah.
this guy. But if you're not going to dive into this enough, then
Mhm.
or at
Yeah.
least make one of them motivated by the creature. Now that's why I was saying like it felt like the creature of the Black Lagoon was a side character in its
Yeah.
own story, you
Yeah.
know. And to me, it was just like, you know, I mean, I get you have to give characters motivations and along those lines, and it was
Yeah.
an interesting idea, but if you're not going to go enough in a direction, then it just kind of becomes. It almost feels like we needed either better use of the 4 issues or more issues, and I think they could have
Sure.
done a little bit better use of the 4
I
issues.
agree.
Then
There's
yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like there's a lot of just setup moments that was just like, okay, I get where this is going. It's a lot of dialogue, but it's like it could have been maybe shortened, right? For
yeah.
certain bits here and there, and you know, it leads to something that it's like all the setup didn't warrant what we actually got with where it led to, I feel like.
Yeah, they spent all this time building up a twist where the person she's after, this Collier, is the serial killer she escaped from, but it's like that could have been explained in 1 page, and it's not that great of a twist. You know,
Yeah.
it would have been much more interesting if if it was more along the lines of, yeah, she's after him, but he is after the creature or something along those lines. Like
Yeah.
make the creature more of the center point than actually, you know, what's going on here. Like, it would have been more interesting if she had a brother or a father who was investigating the creature. He got killed by it, and now she's here trying to figure out what the hell happened. And during the process of the film of the books, you realize that the creature didn't do it, and it ends up, you know, saving the, you know, because they
Mhm.
kind of play it up like the creature of the Black Lagoon in this is a protector of the Amazon. Like it only going to
Mhm.
kill you if you're doing something to fuck with the Amazon.
Right.
And they I don't think they did that in the first film as much. It was more along the lines of just a creature that was kind of
Just the
in
love
this,
story element, yeah.
yeah, just the love story element. This one doesn't really get into any of the elements enough. It just kind of tap dances around them, and it's
For
one of
sure.
those things where it's like you got to commit. If you don't commit to these storylines and actually spell
Yeah.
them out more, then you get something that's kind of like, well, it's a quick read and there's a lot of cool stuff going on, but we really didn't get into any of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is kind of how I just felt about this. Is there's ideas there. I just wish the execution was better with some of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it could have been, you know, I think something a bit more noteworthy with it, right? And so, and that's the thing is like it's just a bunch of, you know, talking that just seems like what it leads to isn't worth it, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't know. I mean, there's some interesting interactions between them here when she gets captured and all that, blah blah blah, and you know, and they're the. I thought some of the last issue was fun because you actually got to see the creature there, and he's actually going into the cave, and uh, you know, as you were talking about, he's being the protector and warding off the enemy, you know, killing off the enemies there and all that, and you know, we see both the creatures at this point, I guess. Uh, you know, doing their thing. And, you know, she's able to make her escape, and oh yeah, he just runs into her there again. Um, But like, you know, I think for it to lead up to this was cool, you know, having an actual fight
Yeah.
between them. And so I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. And he's actually shown that he's, you know, not all that compared to this creature that's lit for however long. And so,
And it's another thing to, like too, it's like he said there is like, oh Kate, you're so right, it's beautiful. This is the first time he's seen it. So why is he cosplaying as it in crocodile skin if he's never actually seen it? You know, there's just a lot of stuff in there that's like they could have done more with it. I mean, it's not bad, but at the same time, it's like, you guys didn't commit enough with the storyline.
Just fine, like I said, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about this, you know. And you know, and obviously the creature leaves her alone because creature respects ladies. You know,
he's a ladies' man. Like,
exactly.
He's all like, hit me up on Tinder, bitch.
Exactly, and the story just ends with her, you know, tending to one of the people she was with, hoping that he doesn't die, and yeah, I guess she got her revenge. I guess.
Yeah, there's really not much of a completion either. Like she got her revenge, but then it ended like this, and it's just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
we're not going in any direction. We're just kind of floating around.
It's kind of just there. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like, you want to make a revenge story, cool. Make it something really interesting, which it wasn't. And you have a twist here, make the twist work better, and you know, explore that more, which it also didn't do. Yeah,
it's, if you're gonna do something like this, okay, reporter comes to Amazon hunting down serial killer. Serial killer is sound like an ex-Marine, and he's training narcos because he's a psychopath. Well, what you do is you have the creature have a confrontation with the serial killer, and when the serial killer fights him and barely survives, he becomes obsessed with him. So now the reporter who's chasing the serial killer gets in between this battle and this hunt between the creature of the Black Lagoon and the serial killer, and then the creature showing a shine to her because he does with the females, throw in some other elements here and there, and then you've got yourself a compelling story that at the end of it, both of like her and the creature and everyone has like their closure. Instead, it was kind of like, we're going to spend the first 2 issues before we even really confirmed that this Collier guy was the serial killer that we saw choking her at the beginning. And it's like, we didn't need that twist. Like you spent too much time, like essentially with a plot line that was not, it should have been forefront first 2 or 3 pages. And it's like, okay, now we know what's going on. And then when she gets closer to Collier, it's like, oh shit, this guy is not only out here, but he's obsessed with this creature. And then you start diving into that stuff along those lines. Like, you know, you can wrap that up in a good 4 issues and then bam. But not bad though. Like I said, it was fine.
It's fine. Yeah,
it's just fine. You know, we'll give
there's elements of it that could have been
minus, you know.
It's see, it passes.
I would have liked to seen a story circled just around the creature, like the mythology of it. Create some like dive into a bit more of that, like you said earlier. I think that would have been much more interesting.
It would have been cool because you know, the original movie hints that it's something that's been around for a very long time, and with the idea of the village respecting it and kind of knowing of it, I don't know. I think there's a much more interesting story there than a revenge story. So.
Like it was Bigfoot. There's a lot of Native American tribes that not only do they believe in Bigfoot, but they believe it's a god. And the ancients will tell story, or the older ones will tell stories that they used to trade with it and interact with it and live side by side. You know, you could have done something like that with creature, where these tribes are like, you know, this creature is the god of the Amazon, the god of the jungle.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've fed it. We've have ceremonies around it, stuff along those lines, and start diving into that. And, you know, hell, even had it like attack a deforestation logging camp, or go through and tear up the narcos drug rings because of the chemicals and stuff that
Yeah,
go along with
yeah.
making the drugs. You could have dived into a lot of stuff. I don't think the idea of a serial killer personal story is a bad one, but if you're going to do it, you need to lean into it more, and you need to bring the creature in more to the story than just being more of like a side character, if you will.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is it's annoying. It's like we get these stories, these monster stories where it's like, we're here for that monster. Why do you push that to the side,
Yeah.
You're watching a Godzilla movie, you're there for Godzilla, not the human plotline, unless it's -1, but that's another story. But anytime, you're watching these monster movies, it's like you're specifically there for the monster. Don't push it aside and try to make the audience care for something else, because then it's just going to feel like, no, that's not what the people came for.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, like I said, it's a fine story. Could have been done better. Hopefully we will get another creature from the Black Lagoon story someday, done with better care. Hopefully James Wan looks at this and knows certain things to not do for his remake, and we'll see.
Well, it's generally not going to be easy to do, because when you have something that is that kind of simplistic, and then you're trying to bring it into a new era, you've got to figure out how you're going to do it to make it interesting. Do you lean into the horror aspects? Do you lean into the religious aspects of it, if you will? I mean,
sure.
There's lots of different routes you can go down. It's one thing that's interesting about Del Toro's Shape of Water is that is one route to go with it, where like the creature is a captured by the government, and we have this whole story there. That would have been an interesting version of the creature of the Black Lagoon. It's so far separate, but has its own beautiful imagery and along those lines. So that's one thing with James Wan, is like, does he have the cinematography chops and the vision to create those beautiful kind of haunting imagery that they did in the 1954 version, which was, very impressive for 1954. Some of that imagery was great, especially under the water,
For sure. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I don't know. Just a story of potential. I don't have anything else to say about it. I've said my piece on it.
Well, it's always good, especially as writers. You're a writer, I'm a writer, to look at a story, and even if it's not great, to see where the mistakes were, to analyze them, to see how you might have been able to do it better.
The thing is,
worse,
always, I can almost look at any story and be like, the ideas are there. I think majority of the time, vast majority of the time, it's not for a lack of a good idea, it's the execution of it.
Yes.
And
100%.
There's ever rarely something that I look at and I'm just like, this is a bad idea. It's the execution, and that's what I feel about this story. Is it's like, I saw the potential here, and I don't know if part of it was a rush deadline or something. Because don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against either of these writers. I think they've both done really good work. I'm not as familiar with Dan Waters as I am Ram V, but like Ram V has done some pretty good things. And I wonder if part of it was like a rush deadline where Image was like, we're doing these Universal Monsters, we got to get out another one, or maybe the two, what I mean is like, I wonder if there's just something there where it forced them to be rushed. And I mean, maybe part of it shows because there's two different artists with the book. Maybe like one of them focused on writing the first two issues and the other one wrote the other two issues. I don't know. Something happened with this book, I think. And you see it with the shift in coloring and the two writers attached, and I don't know. It could have been something, but it wasn't. I don't know. But yeah.
Well, it's always good to learn, because when you're going to create your own stories, to learn from like, okay, what's some of the lessons we learned from this? And one of the big lessons that pops out of my head is that making sure that if you're going to have plot lines, to invest into those plot lines. If you don't go deep enough into them or invest enough into them, then the reader's not going to care, even if they pick up on it. Like you might take 2 or 3 readings for some people to pick up on the fact that not only was she after a serial killer, but that was a serial killer that she escaped. And that wasn't necessarily brought in there. Like she has her fainting moment. It never happens again. You know, there's a lot of stuff that like happens where it's just like we don't get anything about the professor. You know, he's more of just like this obsessed side character, but we don't get delved into him very much at all.
Right.
You know, she's all into this Cristiano guy, but it's like they only had one moment while watching the forest fire, like together. Right. Like, why is she all freaking out now? You know, why is she all of a sudden like, "Don't leave me alone," when she's been alone the entire book series? Yeah, there's all this kind of stuff that you can, you know, you can look at. But yeah, that for me the big lesson is that if you're going to have these plot lines, make sure you invest enough into them that the reader's going to care and really kind of flesh them out and lean into them. And you know, don't, because if not, you get kind of like maybe they just didn't want to pull the trigger on it. Maybe they had bigger ideas, but there was an editor that said, we need to pull this back some. Maybe it was time constraints. I mean, who knows? Like, you're also trying to fit a story into 4 issues, and that might be a constraint too. It's like you only get 24 pages per issue. There's 4 of them, so you know there could have been all kinds of stuff thrown in there.
Yeah, for sure. You know, 4 issues. You gotta lean into that 1 or 2 thing that you're really telling, and you know, you brought up a lot of things that I think was just simply too much to fit into 4 issues. To fully work. And so, but yeah, that's anything else you have to say about this one?
Nope.
No. All right. Well, where could the people find you at?
Lunchbox Comics YouTube channel is where I spend most of my time these days. There'll be a link tree in the description, and that'll get you to all my social media and my email. I'm essentially I'm essentially drawing a comic book online. Like, yes, 2 days I've done 6-hour streams working on pages, doing the penciling, talking about comic books. I have a very small but active comment section right now. People who show up and ask me questions, we talk, and I'll talk about the business and stuff along those lines. So if you want kind of like a window into my comic book creating world, follow me on YouTube and you subscribe on there, and you're going to see a lot of stuff. And I essentially plan to do this with everything from now on. So when I get done with my current book, the next one I'll be drawing, you know, on streams and doing that. And there's a lot of cool stuff. So just follow me through the link tree, and YouTube is where I'm most active.
Nice. Awesome stuff. Well, go check out Warren. Link to the link trees down below, as well as with the YouTube collab. You can make sure you subscribe via there as well with the subscribe button. And as well, make sure you hit that like and subscribe here if you like these things. We're always having more comic reviews, as well as other comic related content, such as when Father's Day comes around next month, the next Long Halloween episode will be out then, and then having more comic creator interviews. Got some cool indie creators lined up to come on, and so make sure you stay tuned for all that. And whatever other comic content there is. Every now and then I cover some comic news if there's something worth talking about. But yeah, if you're a comic fan, you'll enjoy what's on the channel. And yeah. Also, there's Before the Cape, where I talk about Smallville, where we are starting season 3 here soon as well. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the Dingus Den, where we talked about Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. And yeah, what do you think of the story? Let us know down below. Until next time, see you all later. Bye.